synthetic robotics, human models, right? Like how we have humans have short-term memory, right? How we embed that in the model. I mean, this is even more generative AI is text, right? We are already going into multi-model. Now it's even beyond. So I think I can't. It's very hard for me to say. I can say it's an exponential growth.
Clearly, you're not concerned about talent in this space. As in, like this, people are just going to find very interesting things to do, especially as engineers.
Absolutely, like I mean, we're all problem solvers, right? Like remember, like there are a bunch of problems need to be solved. Like we have not even cured cancer. Right? People think, can AI cure cancer? Or find antibodies, find create proteins, right? So we have not even like this. I think we are looking into what we know, what we the unknowns, and how certain innovations happen. Maybe it could be AI, maybe it could be something else, right? But I think there is no limit for problems. So when there is no limit for problems, I think there will be need for problem solvers, engineers. So that's.
Yeah, definitely excited about the possibilities, given the more compute power that we have and all the ability to train models, larger and larger models every year. But I have always had a very healthy amount of skepticism ever since I got here and ever since I learned about hype words. So I don't buy too much into hype unless I can apply it and it works for the problem that I'm solving right now. So this is a part of Bay Area and Silicon Valley too, to oversell something and to get funding from investors and things like that, which has been a big part of my disappointment with Bay Area in general. So, so definitely have a healthy skepticism and be okay to call it out, right? Like even those things are valued out there, saying this problem doesn't really work for this. And I've seen that a lot, at least even in big companies and small companies too. People want to do it just so that they can put on a resume. May not actually serve the purpose. You may actually end up paying a lot more in hardware costs just because you want to do an LLM in nearline text token generation. I mean, those are very expensive things. Do you really need an LLM for those problems or not? So having that healthy skepticism is a lot about building on the experience, and that shows that you're experienced in this area because you're not going to be just running after the next thing that's oversold. I have seen so many waves come and go in my 20 years of learning about this stuff. So I have more cautious about just any AI wave that comes. Anything that goes up will come down. And so it's just about a matter of time. That it's not an end all and be all of everything. It may solve some problems and it may be overkill for some problems, is what I'm guessing that will end up happening in 5 years from now. It's like, we don't really need these large models for everything. But the concerns are not there. I think in general I find that engineers are logical, practical, resilient set of people, and they will find a way. Now it's another question if people are burnt out from tech. Now that's something that's a whole different problem. But if you are in tech and you're curious and you are always want to learn, there'll always be opportunities. Yeah.
Perfect. All right.
I understand a lot of the concern. I think it's clear that a lot of the ways we do things are going to change a lot, and they are changing. It's also very interesting that one of the first things that AI systems are automating is how to engineer AI systems, and that's a little bit surreal when you work on that. But still, like I think if one views it as okay, like we don't really have too much certainty in like this is what we are going to do as a career for the rest of our lives, but be always willing to learn something new and adapt. I think it's very exciting because it's like an opportunity. And it's just a different way to live, which is, I think, better. So in that sense, I feel happy about it overall. And yeah, I mean, I think if you think about AGI, whether that's concerning, maybe it is, but I think it's too early because I think we should be a little bit skeptical about the systems. They take too much energy to be really taking over everything yet.
But plus one to what Vijay, I think the key point he was saying was that resiliency, right? Like the thing is, if you are addressing this to a bunch of chemists or biologists, that's a different thing because their change is constant, right? Like change is not constant. Whereas here, like we have engineers, like software engineers, we have built the muscle to learn new technology. I mean, learning is part of our DNA. So I think learn AI, I think this is where the future is headed, and I think it's good for us to build that muscle because it's real. What happened in the last 2 years? Like if you ask me this question 6-7 years, even though I was working AI, I was skeptical, but like maybe, hey, if you really want to do it, do it. But now it's it's for real. I think this is the right time.
Yeah, like nothing new to add, but I can put some color. I read a book very early in my AI/ML career when I was in masters. It's called The Master Algorithm, written by Professor Pedro Domingos. I would highly recommend you to read. And why I'm referring it, there is a 5 school of thoughts what drive machine learning innovation, right? So, and I have seen starting from like my experience, I was working on the evolutionary algorithm. Then came support vector machine. Then came neural network. We're still in neural network phase. Initially, it was deep learning for computer vision. Now it is NLP for natural language understanding. Right? So I'm not trying to be contrarian. I'm very excited. I want to go through the flow, but it's hard to find the master algorithm. And if we cracks it already, we're going to be reach the epitome of humanity, right? So I hope I see it when I'm alive. But I'm a little bit contrarian that this is the cracks. There is nothing else can come. Being open-minded, learn, and trying to look where we can improve the current state of the art. That's what I have behind.
Awesome. No, this is very, 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 very interesting. Thank you guys for putting up in my questions and coming up with all the answers. Folks, we will now go to your questions. So I'm guessing you have scribbled down all the questions either here or on whatever paper you had. Before we go, just one other plug that we are starting to do enterprise teaching or teaching inside companies. So if you guys, any of you think like anything that we have done in the past would be useful to people around you, like just hit me up, make me try now, and go from there. But from that, let's start with the question. Sorry, I didn't take that.
So I know that you are in a lot of your Faang and companies or improvements. What startups are you looking at? Could we possibly providing something that's a game changer?
Sorry, if you could repeat the question.
Sure. What startups are you looking at that could provide something game changing in this entire ecosystem?
I would say OpenAI, but I think it's a startup. It's I mean, there are a lot of startups, like, because I don't want to say the OpenAI database era because we are out of it, right? But there are a few companies that are exciting, like things like Perplexity, and I mean they are definitely challenging some of how search is going to happen. But I think I'm at the point right now a bit skeptical because there's a lot of stuff in this area. It's like a really crowded space. I would say. I don't know why you asked that question. The question is about like which company that I should look for, like applying or like maybe look upon or read about. But it is more of the career prospects, right? I think any company at this stage is good, like because especially we are trying to switch your domains. Startups are the best way to go, right? Like go and change domains because people have multiple hats. They don't care whether you're coding GPU or the compiler or like doing some high level. So I think in that context, I would value every startup. I mean, there are a bunch of them, but my worry is I'll be telling you about my friends' companies. Right? So I'll be very biased.
So be very careful when you're looking at startups now. Right? I look at this from the business perspective.